Yeah, we really didn't go into that conversation, did we? We kind of just he thanked you for returning the Oathbreaker and said that you could now consider yourselves dwarf friends. So you were welcome in the city as opposed to just being random strangers that should be viewed with serious, kind of watched and kind of not really distrusted, but definitely viewed with some sort of skepticism. But of course now he's basically saying, yep, no, we trust you now, we know you're worthwhile, everything's fine. Alright, okay. So, you were really about to start talking to him about why you are here. So he'd said to you, I believe, you wanted to ask him a favor or wanted to ask him some information, and that's kind of where we pretty much left off. So, take it away.
Before Radovan speaks, I'd like to step up and say, the four of us have traveled quite far and have met with many people so far, but an audience with you is something we've been seeking, and I'm hoping you'll hear us out as Dwarven friends.
Well, of course.
May I present Sir Radovan Rainier of Arconis to talk about what's been happening in this area. Radovan?
You do know, Kia, you are more than capable and able to talk for us all.
I only speak if I feel like I'm good at explaining it, and I know you're way better at explaining it than I am. It is the fact.
But you were doing so well. My apologies,
I wasn't.
my lord. I'm gonna step forward, kind of like forgoing the personal conversation.
Sir Radovan.
One of you start talking, or I'm going to ask about delving.
My friends Kia to my left and James Beecham to my right. We hail from the lands of Arconis, far to the south. Lady,
and the wee lass behind you.
Well, she speaks for herself. I'm gonna kind of gesture with my head to speak up to Marlowe. Okay, she hails from the lands to the north, Fujinami.
Okay, he kind of just looks at you with a little bit of a puzzled frown as he walks down the stairs. As he does so, you notice the two guards immediately at the base suddenly get all flustered and raise up, but he raises a hand and tells him to stay put. That being said, all around you, you can hear the chinking of dwarven armor as crossbows get raised into a ready position, and all the hammerers around the room start to grip their hammers and raise their shields up in a ready position.
Of course.
Well, basically the reason being that the Lord of the Hall is now standing directly in front of you, and should any of you suddenly decide to lash out, they would have to rush to his defense. So,
Not roll for initiative, no.
I'm going to stand a little straighter, as a proud elf would.
All right.
I'm going to stand a little straighter, and my hands are going to very much be at my side, very passive.
Okay.
Not raising my fist.
So Borgund Ironbeard, he is probably what you would guess to be late middle-aged for a dwarf. He has a long, flowing, and very thick bronze-colored beard. And you can see a lot of wrinkles and indentations in his face, some of which look like to be battle scars. The other is probably just the brow of a worried and continually troubled individual. He is fairly robust, very big, broad shoulders. He stands at about 5'4", so he's fairly tall for a dwarf.
God, he's taller than I am. I'd have to look up to this dwarf. Jeez.
Damn.
As he walks over to you, of course, he is clutching.
He's the same height as
that
Marl.
firebrand axe that you returned. He says, "So you hail from far to the south, a good deal farther than the southern mountain range."
That is correct. We had to traverse 2 mountain ranges to be at this 3rd one, my lord.
Arconus. From what part of Arconus do you hail from?
Well, I'm originally from Hammerguild, my lord, which is to the southwest of
I
Iridian.
am familiar with Arconus, but not the hamlets and smaller villages. But I know of some of the major cities, and I am very aware of King Marcus Aurelian and his rule.
Well, we have recently, within the past year, been anointed by King Marcus Aurelian to be nobles. So our last place of service was indeed Iridian, the capital.
Indeed. So Marcus Aurelian thinks of you highly.
Perhaps you didn't hear, but a year ago there was a war that my friends and I took part in and were instrumental in. And it is why we were regarded and distinguished with such a high honor.
Word of this great battle has reached the Dwarven halls many months ago.
Excuse me? I'm going to look very confused.
The battle that you referred to.
It
the
did
war.
not. Yes, the war was to the south. I'm sorry, I'm confused.
You spoke of a war that you were instrumental in, far to the
Correct.
south.
Far to the south.
News of this war reached us many months ago.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
I thought you. I'm sorry, my lord. I thought you said that some part of it affected you here, not news of it.
No.
My apologies, because that surprised me.
No, this was far to the south and threatened the realms of men, not so much us dwarves here in the Cairnemoore mountains.
This is
it was a
Well-
devastating battle. I don't like to linger on it.
I hear that many, many lives were lost on both sides.
It
This
is
is
true.
a shame.
This is true, yes, and it is a shame. It's been a long road to recovery for Arconus as a whole, as a kingdom, since many lives were indeed lost.
It has been 3 centuries since our dwarven kin raised axe and marched in such a thing. Something large enough to be called a war. We have had border skirmishes. We have had to evict trolls that got too close to Cairnemoore. We have quelled small orcish uprisings, but nay no wars for over 3 centuries.
So you have not fought outside of your boundaries.
When you are as secluded as us, there really is no need to go wandering into parts of the realm that do not concern you. Dwarven legs are short. There is no need for us to try to travel long distances. Although some of our kin, as well you know, have done so in the past.
Yes, the reason we have traveled north and are here now is a concern was brought to us by Sir James Beecham over here about potential conflicts happening in this area in this land. And we have come to investigate without the king, on our own volition, of course, to see if there is indeed a potential future threat to the weakened borders of Arconus where we hail. It is a reason of our journey.
And this threat that you speak of, who poses it?
Well, from what we have gathered so far, the lowlanders to your south, the simple but proud folk, simple folk, of course, very simple folk, have been engaging in some skirmishes and an invasion of sorts from the Valkyrie, as we understand it. They have been encroaching farther and farther to the south and west of where they were, and we have heard reports that they are constructing huge boats, possibly to raid further. This is, of course, a threat to us, and we came here to Carvarock to warn you that if the Valkyrie are successful, they will surround this beautiful mountain range and keep you within.
The Valkyrie. They are large and brutish individuals. Night Striker, we subbed 18 months. Appreciate it, man. Spam
Hey,
it,
thanks,
guys.
Knight.
Thanks, Knight.
Spam your pants off and
Appreciate
hammer
it.
the hype button. They are across the mountain range, where other Dwarven clans exist. We are aware of them, but I do not believe that they are of a number. Excuse me. That they are of a number to
Dwarves.
threaten Cairnemoore.
I would.
It would take
Not
an
think-
army of tens of thousands to assault these walls.
I honestly don't think you or this beautiful city has anything to worry about.
Well, it is good to hear you confirm our suspicions. We indeed have nothing to worry about.
Well, that may be true. Thousands do have something to worry about, and we're hoping to help, which is where you could possibly come in.
Well, speak more plainly. What is it you ask?
The people to your south are, as I said, simple and proud, but they are not violent or cruel. We have entered their minor villages and towns, if that's what you would like, we would call them, and were greeted with welcome and friendly terms, as long as we didn't, of course, encroach on their way of life. We have encountered a particular war band or regiment, if you will, of Valkyrie, and we just wanted to talk to them, and were greeted with violence and bloodshed. It was an unfortunate skirmish that I wish we didn't have to do, since we were just there to talk and learn about their motives and intentions. What Kia was saying, and my concern, is if the Valkyrie have their way, they could surround this beautiful mountain range that you guys live in and make travel from it difficult for no real reason other than their lust for blood and violence.
So they are just attacking these lowlanders for the thrill of war and the glory of battle?
It would appear so, since they attacked us in a similar way, yes.
Well, these appear to be unfortunate events for the lowlanders, but I fail to see how they have anything to do with me. Indeed, the dwarves have little to no interaction with the lowlanders at all. We have indeed had to put a few of the highlanders in their place, but the lowlanders are simple folk far, far to the south at the base of the mountains and beyond the hills. They are of no concern to us.
Be that as it may, the risk with this line of thought is you unintentionally closing yourselves in to the wider world out there. I have no delusions about certain realities, if you will, but I would love it in the long term if it was feasible for you fine folk and the folk down in Arconis to somehow have some kind of relationship that would be attained, that would be possible. And I fear if the Valkyrie were allowed to just have a run at the lowlanders without any sort of support or aid or any kind of dealing with them, that you will just make your outside connections to the world more difficult.
They're as difficult as we want them to be. We have no interest in the outside world. We have no interest in it coming and interfering with us. Dwarves, those of our kin, trade with very few. We pride the trade agreements that we have, and all of them were brokered carefully and over a great deal of time.
And
We told them what we came here to tell them, Radovan. What more do you want?
Just you're kin to the north, the hill dwarves.
They are no kin of ours. They are dwarves, but they bear no resemblance of clan or family.
And these are folk you do not trade with. As you said, you worked hard and carefully with the agreements you do have. I mean, they are as close as I can imagine to Carvarok.
There are small groups of them that we trade with outside the city from time to time, maybe once or twice a year.
Are they friends to you guys, or foes, or indifferents?
I would say there's a level of indifference. We tolerate each other's presence and respect our bloodlines, but they have a very different temperament to those here in Caravarak.
Well, I'm not saying this is true or false, but we have heard that they have been dealing with the Valkyrie.
I'm sure they do.
I see. So you would be okay with an eventuality of it being unsafe to leave this fortress?
We have no intentions of leaving it. We haven't done in many, many years.
And what of the folk who do wish for more to travel and adventure? They will be in danger just stepping outside your beautiful home. You do see that, right?
I do. Should that be the case. But we have no wish to leave this city. There are none here inside Caravarak that have an interest in traveling further afield.
Except those that my friends and I have come across on the road who have...
Centuries, well, not centuries, but decades ago, I, Gaffer Ironbeard, and alongside Prince, travelled to develop and grow a second city far to the southwest.
I see. I understand, and I look back at Marlowe and I say, I get it. You are closing yourselves in to a reality that you might not always wish for. You see, like, decades or hundreds of years into the future, you guys might want to set up a second city, and it will be all the more difficult because of this lost opportunity right here, right now.
Yes, but this is something that affects the here and now. If in decades' time we decide to travel further afield, we'll deal with the difficulties of doing so at that time. I understand it may be difficult for you that enjoy traveling and experiencing other cultures. We have no interest in anybody else's culture. We have no interest in other lands.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I'm saddened by this, if only because I foresee that any future desires you and your folk might have will be all the more compounded and difficult because you do not wish to know of other cultures and places that could be your friends and your allies.
Then maybe it should be difficult, Radovan.
Let's say we were more open to what it is that you discuss. What would you expect us to do? What would you ask from us? To march our able-bodied men down into the lowlands and do battle with the Valkyrie? And in doing so, probably 10 or 20 or even 100 or more dwarves may die?
Honestly, the first thing that comes to my mind is I would like there to be some way to open communication with the Valkyrie without us having to march into their strongholds and get the answers, you know?
Well, we're no friends of theirs, so we can offer you no diplomatic arm if that's what you seek.
But you do have some, albeit indifferent, relations to the hill dwarves, and they have a line to the Valkyrie. See where I'm going with this? It could be like a...
Well,
one way to the other way to the third final
If you
way.
wish to stay here in Cairnemoore until the next time our traders travel the pass to go and visit with the traders from the hills, then I would more than happily vouch for you to accompany those merchants.
And when is this scheduled to be?
Nothing set in stone, but I would expect within the next 3 to 4 months, not long.
I see. Is there a path to the Hill Dwarves from here that is relatively safe, all things considered? I'm aware.
No path that is relatively safe.
I am aware of the silliness of such a question, having experienced many of the dangers ourselves on the open road, but
There
man
is a
can hope.
path that can be traversed, yes, by Dwarven kind.
Well, I do not wish to keep you from your day, and I do thank you for agreeing to see us. I am a little...
Well,
I was hoping...
I will ponder
I
what it
understand.
is that you have said, and I invite you to stay here in Cairnemoore for as long as you feel the need.
Why, thank you, my lord.
And perhaps we'll talk again in a day or two.
Lord Ironbeard, I have a question for you. We obviously can't expect you to march down with us in a war. But if there was a war that did break out below, would you ever be willing to accept even women and children into your fortress to protect them?
Well, refugees you speak of, Kia.
Correct. This place is built so well, it serves as a fortress, and as you said, it's going to be hard to break in. It'd be a great place for people to, especially women and children, to hide out in during the war.
That would be something that we would have to take under advisement and deliberate with the guild leaders about.
That's fair.
While we are self-sufficient here in Cairnemoore, we have limited supplies of certain things, and suddenly taking in hundreds of extra mouths may prove difficult. Not to
Perhaps-
mention the fact of having dozens and dozens of women and children charging around all over the city would probably most certainly upset most of the locals.
Well,
But I will
perhaps
not
if
say no.
you are right. If we do open the discussion, we can figure out the logistics later.
It
Just
just
as a thought.
I can respect your desires to stay sheltered in a way and different to the world at large. It's just, in my experience, having traveled from deserts to now this frozen, albeit beautiful north, it's kind of hard to stay that way. Do you know, the world has a way of encroaching, whether you want it to or not, and in my experience, it's better to have friends, even friends that don't necessarily get along. During the war to the south, we brokered alliances with folk we never expected. The Fae from the Feywilds to the Githzari, who were not even from this plane of existence. All because we had a common enemy that was threatening all facets of each of the worlds that we had brokered alliances with.
Radovan, how much longer are we going to be here? In
By
this
all means,
city?
if we're boring you, you may leave now.
No, I want to know if he plans on staying here in this town for any length of time.
Well, we spoke about a couple of days to consider this. I assume that's what it would be.
Okay. I wasn't asking to be disrespectful to anyone. I was asking because if we were going to be here for any length of time, I was interested in a delving license.
I'm just going to put my head in my hands.
When you say that, he kind of raises an eyebrow, and you kind of hear a little chuckling in and around some of the dwarves, like very low, very quiet. So, yes, delving. And you heard this term where?
Delvers in?
Yeah, I think that's where we were.
Like that?
Before you inquire about such things, you might want to make sure you understand what it is that you are inquiring about. A delving license is more than a license, it is a contract. A very, very firm and legally binding contract. And one of which is given rarely and fulfilled almost never.
It sounds like a chance to become stronger.
It's a chance to become dead.
Well, you rarely can become stronger without the risk of being dead.
Well, if it's something you wish to pursue, then the Delve Inn is the place to inquire.
Understood.
Marlo, yes, I think that is something that'll take some time anyway, and if we plan to be in the city for a few days at least, it is a thing you can consider.
I don't get stronger by sitting around waiting.
Knowledge is power too, Marlo.
Yeah, and I work so well with knowledge, Radovan.
Well, it's still a pursuit. That I apologize, my lord.
There's nothing to apologize about.
Okay.
As I said, you may wish to find out as much as you can about the term of delving from those that would be willing to even discuss the matter.
I'm gonna look back at Marlo. Anything? Nothing. Okay. So I'm gonna look back at.
I got the information I needed.
I'm gonna look back at Borgon Ironbeard and just
Lord
kinda give a-
Ironbeard, thank you for your time.
Well,
Yes.
as I said, maybe we'll talk again in a few days. Enjoy the
Just please
hospitalities
consider.
of the city.
We will.
Thank you very much, my lord.
Okay, he turns to walk away.
And I'm gonna back up with a slight bow.
All right, once he gets back up to his throne, he sits down. And Skalfmir Doorstock comes down and approaches you, getting very, very close. He's a good deal shorter than the Lord of the Hall, but nonetheless still very broad, as you know. He says, "A word to the wise. Be sure not to break any of the laws while you wander Cairnemoore. Dwarf friend or not, law is law."
Well, of course. I'm honor bound to obey all laws of the lands.
You know, you needn't worry about that. Radovan would kill one of us
Thank
rather
you for
before he let us
subscribing.
break any of the
Appreciate it, dude.
laws.
New subscriber hype, guys. Go ahead and take your pants off
Fruit plum,
and hammer your hype.
hammer.
Hey,
Appreciate
thanks,
that,
man.
dude. Thank you, and welcome to
Hype,
the club.
hype
Take
your
your-
hammer?
You just said take your pants off and hammer your hype.
Yeah.
That's a weird phrase. Take your pants off. Welcome. Can you repeat what you said, Marlo, for the...
Yeah.
Oh, you needn't worry about that. Radovan would kill one of us before he'd let us break a law.
He says, "As may be, and as is probably for the best if he does."
Is there any? We have spoken about this before. Is there any particular law that you have in mind in regards to us that we may be unaware of as being outsiders?
No.
Beyond the more sensible ones,
The
don't
easiest
steal,
thing
don't
I can
cheat,
tell
lie.
you, seeing as the Dwarven Book of Law is, well, is as thick as some dwarves' heads. remember that you are outsiders and treat everybody with the utmost respect.
Of course.
can
And
do
you'll
that.
probably walk out of here alive.
Very well, sir. Thank you.
Alright, let's get out of here.
I'm gonna bow to everybody and then turn and then leave.
All right. So everybody's walking out. Okay. As you stroll down the long hall, Beecham kind of leans in and whispers to you, and he says, "Well, that went as well as can be expected, I suppose."
Yes. Doesn't mean our business here is done. Delving pursuit notwithstanding, there are some other things that we can do that will benefit us in the long run.
No one thought to ask why they addressed a letter to us that we weren't supposed to read.
That's true, we didn't. Because we're honorable people, we didn't want to get off on the wrong foot.
All right. So you find yourselves back out in the main streets of Cairnemoore. Where do you wish to go? What do you wish to do?
So-
No.
I'm immediately going to start rifling through my backpack.
Okay.
Shifting like mounds of coins from one side to the other.
All the coins.
Okay.
What
And
are you doing?
I'm gonna extract the 2 chain shirts I have, including the 2 like valves of grease.
Okay.
And I'm gonna hand it to Beecham and say, "Could you do a favor for me?"
Well, of course.
Um,
What can I do for you, my lord?
Pretty
these-
sure if you do that out here, it's going to be breaking the law right in. You might need somewhere more private.
What are you talking about? Shut up. I'm just gonna hand the 2 chain shirts and I'm gonna say, "These 2 have been chinked and damaged. Possibly we can get them repaired
Oh,
and
sure.
wear them. One for you, one for me, since there are 2."
I have no interest in such a thing, but I'm sure we could pilfer from one to repair the other.
And so I have a question. During all this time, has the grease on the chain shirts like gone away, or has it? Have
To
I gotten
some
a sense
degree,
of how
because I mean,
long-
it's been rubbing inside your backpack, and honestly, the inside of your backpack is a little bit unpleasant to put your hand down in now. But I mean,
Coins
you
are
do
greasy
have
now.
2 more vials of this, 2 more pots of this grease that you can use. Yes.
So I guess my question is, I want to get a sense of how much those 2 vials would last, or pouches, or whatever.
Probably a considerable length of time.
Okay. So I'm gonna just hand them everything and say, just sort that, please, because this leather is driving me crazy. And
So you want me to just go and find a place to have these repaired?
yes, please.
I'm sure
And,
in this city that shouldn't be a problem. Where shall we meet up?
Delving
that
in.
that's the one.
The Delving Inn?
Delving
Yes.
in.
Well, I have some other things I would like to do too. I have a rather large amount of coin that I have every interest in transforming into a much more manageable form of wealth. So, I'll probably take care of that as well, if you don't mind.
Of course. We might need to have that done as well, right, Kia? But there are some other things we could use
This
this
is
gold
getting
for.
very heavy.
Yes.
But yes.
Platinum at best, or at worst, maybe. I do believe I might have spied a jeweler's on the way in here. I might see if I can't transform it into gems or jewelry. Much easier to carry.
Interesting. If you spot any ruby dust around, just let me
Well-
know.
Well, Kia, don't worry. You and I are on a similar mission, I reckon.
Well, would you mind making sure you procure a room for me then at the Delve Inn?
We will do so. Yes.
Excellent. Well, I'll see you later on this afternoon then, I suppose.
Goodbye, Beecham.
And with that,
Thank you, Beecham.
throws the 2 chain shirts over his shoulder and starts to plod down the main street, looking at all the buildings as he does so.
I bet we jingle.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
I
but-
mean, if you're carrying, you know, an awful lot of coin apiece.
We are. So I'm gonna stand up and look at Marlo and Kia and. Are you okay, Marlo? You look a little cross. if you don't mind me
I'm
saying
bored.
so. Well, there's plenty to do, plenty that could be of benefit to us here.
These things have to get done, Marlowe. You're just gonna have to sit through it sometimes. You don't think I'd rather be out magic missiling orcs?
Look, all I know is that we have some items that we know are magical. We should try to figure out a way to discern their properties.
The runesmith?
That would be my first thought, and then
Go from there.
Go
Maybe
from
he
there.
knows someone.
Well, is there any of this that technically needs me? Because I'd rather visit the barracks.
What are you gonna do at the barracks?
I don't know. See how they train. It's got to be different from others.
I mean, I guess I'm not stopping you.
yeah.
Just be safe.
And everybody looks at me like I just slapped someone really important every time I mention delving. So
Well, perhaps it's for a reason. Perhaps there's not just words of warning because we're outsiders. Perhaps there's a legitimate level of prestige associated with it.
did you ever think that maybe they're courting disaster by not going outside the walls, Radaman?
Absolutely. I think that all the time. I think these fine folk are making a huge mistake for their future by not going outside.
Your voice down, Radovan.
It's a valid opinion. That's not breaking any laws.
I don't
They're
care.
good people.
We
They
are
treat
here
us-
to curry favor.
It's just if you
Indoor
just think of it as you stop challenging yourself because you're in peace, a time of peace, and then war comes, and now you're too soft to defend yourself.
Marlo, I agree with that wholeheartedly. By the same token, we all have those areas that we refuse to pursue, right? Knowledge is power, and yet you seem to always refrain from it, or the knowledge that can be gained to further your own progress. Because you're not good at it? Why not try to get better at it?
I can't be smarter than I am, Radavan.
You can still want and pursue all the time. That shouldn't stop you.
Do you know why I hated studying back at the temple? It's because I didn't get it. No matter how hard I tried, I never got better.
Okay.
But fighting was something I could do better, that I got better at.
Look,
There's only so many times that you can be talked down to and made fun of and get scolded for not understanding something before you just don't want to do it anymore.
but we are not scolding or talking down to you. I mean, I am legitimately. I'm just trying to encourage. Right?
Well,
So Kate,
wish that you could have been the teachers back at the monk school then.
let's say a little dwarf person runs up to us right now and says, "Trust me, please trust me, help me, help me." Are you just gonna follow blindly?
I'll ask questions, but I have no reason to believe that he's lying.
After being bamboozled by a dwarf oathbreaker and a woman who
Appreciate it. Hands off and hit the height.
Hammer.
and a woman who
Thanks,
claimed
Emily.
to have been raped in Rockelm?
Why should I?
Because this is not where you're from. This is Arconis.
It doesn't matter, Radavan. Why should I punish everyone for what one person does?
It's not punishment. It's just a healthy dose of skepticism. You think Kia and myself probably more so at fault for not trusting everyone I come across. Like this is some problem, and I will tell you straight up. Sometimes I honestly forget that you were not with us during the first time I met Kia. And that is my fault, because I honestly forget, because you have been with us for so long and been so instrumental in our success, that I forget that you were not there when over 9 separate people, all claiming to want to help us, were there to betray us and there to fuck us over and summon some purple demonic thing. And I honestly forget that you were not there to witness that betrayal that we experienced. And
Do you want to talk about witnessing betrayals?
it's just how I'm sorry for not being able to trust people so easily and readily, but at the same time, it's kept me alive this entire time. And so, this is not the world, this is a different world, and you have to have that skepticism and that you can't trust so easily, because this is a world that will take advantage of you and then kill you.
Thinking that way is what turns you into one of those kind of people, Radovan.
I disagree. I've been at this for a long time, and I can say with certainty I'm a better person than I was 3 years ago. Kia will know. She saw how I used to be.
I did. He was very grumpy, very drunk, and hated everything and everybody in every race. And now he can tolerate many races. And you saw how we both were when we met you, Marlo. We were, especially me, I didn't trust a soul, and look how far I've come. I can trust a few people here and there, but I'm still skeptical of everybody I meet.
All I'm saying is there will come a time where something will throw the wool over our eyes, and I will be fooled again, and possibly Kia too. And it would be nice if you possibly wouldn't get fooled along with us, because you could then save our lives, and that would mean a lot to me, because I like living. I just need to know that you will have that skepticism, that doubt, that not desire to immediately trust someone, because I'd rather trust you, Marlo, than a stranger I just met today.
You would trust me enough to cast a spell to make sure that I was being honest with you.
All I'm saying is that dwarf fooled us. Even I didn't want him to be the guilty bastard he turned out to be.
Me neither.
And it was more difficult because that bastard dwarf turned you and me against each other with how we see the world. And I just wish that it wouldn't have to be that way, because that
No, we didn't, Radovan. It was already there. He didn't put anything there that wasn't already there.
But why can't we go from there? Go forward from there? Not have that happen again to us with the next person, because there's always going to be a next person. We meet the Highlanders down in a week from now, and we go there bringing gifts of gold and saying, hey, help us with the Lowlanders, not against us. And they might say, yeah, we'll go with you. And then that night they might attack us. And we, can't take anything at face value with people. I'm sorry. I have years of experience with you. It's different. It's not about trust always. It's about this land requires something more than just trust. It's a sad state of affairs, but it's kept me alive this long. Just go to the barracks and learn, and it'll be okay. Just be safe.
Saris. And I'm gonna walk off with that. I'm gonna start walking toward the barracks.
Okay. So the barracks would basically be these two buildings all the way behind. That'll be here and here. The two buildings right behind the Dwarven Hall. Alright. Okay, so Marlo's heading towards the barracks. What is Kia and Redo going to do? Beecham is obviously, he's off looking for a place to huck his gold into gems and get the chainmail repaired.
Yeah.
Hang my head after that conversation. It's like, I don't know if we'll ever be enough for her.
I said what I had to say. I have nothing else to say. I'm just gonna go to the runesmith as I say this, head similarly lowered.
Okay.
Okay.
The runesmith. Okay. That was this building down here. Okay, so Rado's going to the runesmith. Where's Kia going?
I have some of the magical items, so I'll probably go with so I can
All right.
ask about it.
Okie dokie. Well, we'll go there first. Let's see. There we go. All right, so Radovan and Kia. Oh, what the hell? Oh, I know why, because, different size map. Okay. You wander inside the runesmiths. Initially, you can kind of see it's much like all the buildings in here. Cairnemoore was meticulously crafted and designed from the ground up. That's why most of the buildings look identical, at least from the outside. Once you come onto the inside of the runesmith, you can see, you know, there is a huge, big, glowing plaque in the center of the floor, covered with a strange symbol. There is books and scrolls of all kinds dotted onto the left-hand wall on shelves. There is the runesmith that you met before. He is standing over a table and like hammering with a small hammer and a chisel into a large slab of rock. There's another runesmith sitting behind a table poring over an old book. Kind of over to the right-hand side is what appears to be a humongous metal, kind of a bronzy, tarnished gold statue. It has two huge green emeralds for eyes. It stands all the way to the ceiling, which is about 10 foot, and it is probably twice as wide as y'all. It is got one hand on what you can only describe as a Zweihander, like a huge, big, wide, three-handed sword that's almost as wide as Radovan's shield. It's just sitting there dormant, but you get a very strange and uneasy feeling about the darn thing. Like, your eyes keep getting drawn to it.
Damn.
Okay, as you walk in, the runesmith that's sitting behind the table finally kind of like looks up over a small pair of horned-rimmed eye spectacles and says, "Yes?"
Hello? Remember us?
Hi.
"I do not."
Oh.
This is the one you haven't seen before.
Oh, this is not the same RuneScape. Oh, my bad.
Never mind.
My name is Radovan Rainier. This is Kia Liana.
Sir Radovan and Lady Kia, yes.
We have recently returned from an adventure out beyond Carvarak and have acquired some items we would like inspected.
Would you be the person
They
to
bear
do?
runes then. Dwarven runes. By all means, bring them forth.
Well, I won't say they're dwarven runes in nature, but they have magical properties that we would like to discern, to know if they're safe,
Is
basically.
that something you could do, or could you recommend someone who might know?
I'm afraid not. And I do not know anybody inside Cairnemoore that could do such a thing.
Really? That's too bad.
We, Dwarven rune magic is very, very specific. If it does indeed bear runes, then we are the men of Dwarven kin to bring it to. But if it does not, and it is just some strange enchantment, then you best seek more of a wizard or a warlock.
Are there any of those folk in Carvarak?
No. Dwarven kin do not tend to.
Gravitate that way.
Yes. You may ask the High Priest of Dumathoin, although, that being said, I while I do believe he has the ability to know when things are magical by passing his hands above them, I do not know whether he'd actually be able to assist in telling you what they do. Or what they are.
So I'm regardless, I'm going to take out my the ring that I procured.
Okay.
And I'm just going to say this brass ring was from a man who worships Erithnul.
They said, oh, worshipper of dark gods. Yes, definitely something for the priest of Dumathoy.
Interesting.
Jammertime, thanks for that. 12 months for you, my friend.
Jammer.
Much love. Take your pants off and hit the hype. Show the love.
Kia, see, we never really properly inspected the dagger and staff, right? Maybe there were some runic
I
inscriptions.
haven't. I'll take those out and start looking them over to see if there's anything.
Okay.
I will as well for the brass ring. Kind of hope fleeting, you know?
Yeah.
All right. He says, well, bring them forward. Let me have a closer look. My eyesight is not as good as it once was.
I'm going to approach and
I'm
put it on
over
the table.
here at the table.
Oh, you're this guy.
Sorry, we're a little.
I'm the one facing you.
We don't have our glasses on.
Jesus.
All right. So he holds out his right hand.
I'm going to put the ring in his hand.
Okay, he takes the ring over and starts to look at it closely. Quite a plain ring, really. Have you ever considered hurling it into a fire to see if any runes appear?
It did not cross my mind, no, sir.
I could tell you little to nothing about this, I'm afraid.
As expected.
What about these things? Pushing towards him.
And what are you putting on the table?
Staff and the dagger.
Okay, he ponders and looks at those, turning in this way and that, raises an eyebrow here and there, and then says, alas, no. I cannot tell you nothing about those either. No runes.
Thanks for trying.
Well,
Thank you.
now, should you find yourself in need of rune magic, you come back to us, and we may be able to assist you.
Okay.
Thank you. My shoulders are gonna slump a little less than they did with Marlowe, but it's gonna thank the guy and leave.
Alright, okay.
That's a bad no for two.
About the time I wish I learned a certain spell, Radovan, that I just don't have.
Well, you're so focused on offensive magic, and it doesn't surprise
You're
me.
so offensive.
I was when I started as a sorceress, okay?
Alright.
Gotten a little better.
Okay, so you wander back out into the streets. As you do so, from right across, you see Beecham actually stepping out of the building across the street from you. He still has the chainmail.
Okay.
Does he look less jingly?
He looks like he's got a huge big grin on his face,
Of course.
Beach him!
and his bag is definitely not dragging his left shoulder down anymore like it was.
What'd you get, Beecham?
Oh, yes, so, interesting thing. Right here is a jeweler's. Very interesting. Excellent selection. Wonderful craftsman. I was able to get a fairly good deal on, some quite nice gems. Much easier to carry.
Gems, huh?
Oh, gems, jewels, they have a pretty large selection.
Ooh.
Quite honestly, I'm rather surprised they don't have more of a security in place. Some of the gems have got to honestly be some of the finest I've ever seen.
I think, Beecham, the security is this whole place, not a single store.
Well, yes, I can definitely see, as we've already found out, that these dwarves are incredibly skeptical nonetheless. And I'm sure that if an alarm was raised, every single dwarf here would come rushing to the aid of any other, so,
Did you see any statues in there?
quite a few, actually. Several.
Perfect.
They were in the process of actually crafting one, while I was there. There's some wonderful sculpted creatures. They had a golden dragon that must have been at least 4 foot, and one made of
Dragon.
what looked like either platinum or silver, and various other. Some really interesting golden hands and all kinds of strange icon. A beautiful crafted golden eagle as well as numerous figurines of a dwarf. I believe it to have been a physical representation of the patron god that they all worship here, Dumathorn.
You should check this place out, man.
The armor smith is right down here, and he kind of points to this building across down, because I passed it on the way. I was much more eager to get rid of all this loose coin, as you may imagine. But I'm about to go and take care of this armor, and then I'll be over at the Delvin Inn.
If you come across anyone in this city who's of a wizard type, we didn't have much luck here, but just keep your ears open. Maybe there's a stranger who's a finger wiggler like Kia, only a little bit more utility based.
Hi, absolutely. I'll see what I
Only a
can
little
do.
more useful.
What was that, Radavan?
Nothing, Kia. Do you have anything to do?
Who had a force cage? I did.
Do you have anything else to do, Kia? Because I do need to go across the way and.
Into
I don't
the jewelers?
Yes, I need to
I
go
do
to
too.
the. Shit.
What?
Nothing. It's okay. We'll go together.
No, fine. I'll go wait for you at the inn. Just if you see any ruby dust, grab it as much as you can. And I'm gonna hand you all my gold.
Which is how much?
Fuck.
2,500, right?
2,500.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Radavan's probably going to need some assistance then.
Just you'll pay me back. Ruby dust, right? Ruby dust.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll see what I can get.
All right.
I'm gonna go back to the inn.
Okay,
and
so you're going
have
back
a
to the Deep Delvin.
cup of ale. Mug of
Radavan's
ale.
going to the
excuse me.
jewelers. Beecham is heading to the armor smith. Okay, Marlowe, meanwhile, she is down at the 2 buildings of the Dwarven barracks. Okay, it really doesn't matter which one you go in because they're identical. Once you walk inside, it is a fairly plain, open-hauled stone building with pillars. Stone cots laid in lines. Each one probably has about 4 to 5 lines of 10, so probably about 40 to 50 actual, stone cots in here. There is, by each one meticulously, there is a shield and a small weapons rack that's set up, as well as a small footlocker. There's probably about a dozen or so dwarves in here, feverishly polishing their shields and, and gleaming the buttons on their armor to make sure that it all looks very, very vibrant. And they all kind of look at you rather curiously as you walk in. One of them says, "Are you lost?"
That depends. Have any of you ever actually seen battle?
They all look at each other. Well, I know I've swung a hammer or two. What about you? And he kind of looks at his friend next to him who's got a big grin on his face. There's been a couple of times where I've had to squash a wee bug here and there underfoot, but you know. And then a more gruff-sounding, kind of an older dwarf. He looks at you and he says, "Everybody in here has seen battle, lassie."
Really? When?
Well, about 2 years ago, we quelled an orcish uprising. About 20 miles to the north, in the mountains. It wasn't much of a big fight, only about 100 or so of them. It only took about 20 of us to put it down. But I was there for that. About a decade prior to that, there was some trolls that had taken to sniffing around the steppes. We had to take care of deal with those. one of them says, "Don't forget the giants." He said, "Oh, aye. About 30 years ago, there were some mountain giants that
30 years.
gathered a little bit too close to the cliffs. Some of them younger ones thought it would be amusing to hurl boulders down into the city, trying to smash the heads off of the furnaces. So we mobilized and dealt with them. About 100 years ago, I myself and several of our kin
I count every skirmish.
marched down south to the foothills. There was a band of roguish Highlanders. Got a little bit too close for comfort, a little bit too brave. We had to demonstrate to them why the mountains were too high for their Highland ways.
I see. How do you stay prepared for battle? What if battle were to break out tomorrow?
We drill endlessly.
You drill.
Aye. Military drills, practice battle, skirmishes, all in the underhalls.
Every day? Now?
3 times a day. Morning,
When's the next?
noon, and evening.
So noon would be the next?
No, it's past noon already. It'd be this evening, but, he's like, about 2 to 3 hours time. When the sun goes down, we'll make our way down into the underhalls and begin our practice.
Can I come with you?
You'd have to get permission from Scalfmere Doorstock.
Of course.
We're not very fond of showing outsiders our battle tactics and our ways of war. For obvious reasons.
I can understand that. I just wish to become stronger. I don't mean to take any secrets to pass on
You
to
wish to become
other people.
stronger?
Yes.
Well, you can achieve that by doing what most of us dwarves do. Raise a hammer. Hammer steel. Shift lead. Shovel coal.
Move logs.
He said, if you think about it, if you looked around here, have you seen many dwarves that didn't have arms like tree trunks? All from a young age. They labor. Hard labor is the best way to build a strong body.
I want to become strong a different way. Strength isn't the problem.
You mean you want to become more skilled, is that it?
I suppose skilled's a better word.
As in, skilled in the arts of warfare.
I want to, I want to know.
Well, then
I don't always have the answers when I come up against certain things, and
Well, I can tell you as an old veteran over 220 years, this right here is the difference between a great warrior and a walking meat shield. If you want to get stronger, open your mind, study, learn. Develop your brain. You think dwarves just survive here and have built this fantastical city by being foolish? We are indeed a cautious people, and for that, well, that there is the reason that Cairnemoore has stood the centuries that it has, and that the dwarven people have flourished. War is not something we embrace lightly, but when we do so with careful planning and developed tactics. If you want to get better swinging an axe or swinging a warhammer, we can teach you that. but that won't make you stronger. It might mean you can kill a few more, but at the end of the day, something is still gonna outsmart you on the battlefield, and you'll go down as surely as anybody else. But, if Scalfmere Doorstock is happy to let you come to the Underhalls and, watch our, military excursions, then by all means, come and find me then, in about 2 to 3 hours when the sun goes down. When it disappears below the edge of the mountain.
I'm gonna nod very defeated. And
With that,
I'm
he kind of
just-
looks at you and with a grin, and he says, "Here!" And he reaches down by the side of his cot and picks up a fairly plain-looking two-handed, like a two-headed warhammer, and then he tosses it over to you.
I'm gonna look at it. What am I gonna do with this?
All right. He says, "Lift it. Pick it up."
Okay, I'm gonna attempt to pick it up, I
Well,
guess.
then you can. I mean, Marlowe's fairly strong. I mean, it is an incredibly end-heavy weapon, very uncouth, and definitely not the sort of thing that you would have any understanding, really, of how to wield. It doesn't have the finesse of any of the weapons that you've trained with. But, I mean, you can definitely... It requires a lot of physical energy just to swing it from one hand to the next. He says, "Here is something you can do, lassie. Consider that a gift. Every morning when you wake up, hold the hammer upright with one hand. Tilt your arm to the left. Tilt it back up. Tilt your arm to the right. Tilt it back up. Do that 1,000 times on each hand. When you can do that, then I'll say you're probably a wee bit stronger in the ways that you might think you need to be."
Thank you. I'm probably just gonna leave and go
Okay.
find like the least crowded place I can find and do that.
Well,
but I'm
right
super not
outside-
happy right now.
Right outside of the barracks, you can see this large building, circular building, over to the right. Let's see if I can... I'll have to zoom in closer to be able to get to it for chat. There. Okay. So this huge building right here appears to be some kind of huge, big, open-skied arena. It's got banners hanging down from it. There's 3 archways that enter, and it has got at the back of it. There's a line of various different dwarven statues. The stained blood inside that you can see through the archways on the ground let you know that this is a place that clearly has seen an awful lot of combat. Currently, it's dead silent. There's not a soul around it or anyone near it.
Okay, that's where I'm gonna go then.
Okay.
I'm gonna go in there and
All
try
right.
to do these exercises.
Okay, so you're going to try to do that with a hammer? Alright. What is Marlowe's current strength?
Good question. 16.
16. Okay. Yeah, you can probably do... You might get 100 before your arm is just aching at the shoulder. And your forearm is just, like, tense and just your entire arm is just shaking, even trying to hold the thing outstretched without trying to turn it. And of course, the biggest problem is it's so top-heavy that the second it starts to turn, it just wants to dump straight to the floor.
Okay, well, we're gonna switch to the other hand then.
All right. But that's what you're pretty much going to do, try to do 1,000 of those? And
Yep.
train yourself? Okay, sounds good to me. Meanwhile... Okay, Radovan, you're going to the jeweler's then. Let's do that.
Correct, I'm going to the jewelers.
We're at the fan of the jewelry shop.
Who knows
I like
why
that
he would
image.
be-
Alright,
Okay,
I am.
Hang on a
I
second.
enter and immediately am very uncomfortable, like I don't belong.
All right. Okay. So yeah, it has green marble tables dotted everywhere. All the ones to the left have like a glass casing on the top. In front of you, to the left and right, you can see a couple of marble tables. One has the 2 golden statues of dragons that Beecham was obviously talking about. Another one seems to have a gold and silver gilded cage and a golden statue of what you guess is probably some kind of hippogriff or some sort of creature. All the way on the right wall are various different gold carvings or bronze carvings. There's even a incredibly well decorated and ornate gold chair in the side, at the back. To the right
fancy.
of the guy's counter, you can see what appears to be a small portable furnace and all the necessary tools for sculpting. As you walk in, there is a dwarf who is bald. He has got a singular eyeglass that's kind of like popped up, like raised to where he can flip the lens down, and it's kind of a rosy color. He's bald and he has a thick, heavy black beard that really only comes straight off of his chin. Doesn't kind of expand out, and he's pretty clean shaven other than that. As he stands there holding a small case in his right hand, and he's kind of like looking down at it. He kind of looks up at you with one eye and says, what can I do for you?
Greetings.
Thin
This
and
is-
Greybrow.
What's your
Master
name? Sorry.
jeweler. Athenan Greybrow.
Hello, sir. My name is Redovan Rainier.
Aye, we don't see... Wait a minute, is it that time? And you see him like instinctively look up and he goes, no, that wouldn't be till tomorrow. No, we don't see many of your kind roaming around here for a while.
Yes, this is honestly my second or third day here. It's mattered over a full week. I've been traveling with some friends, doing some missions, if you will.
Well, are you coming here to peruse and purchase, or are you coming to sell?
Purchase, hopefully, and also appraise. And I'm gonna reach in and take out my small bag of gems that I got from, I think it was the Wizard, when I was rifling through their stuff.
Okay.
And I'm gonna open the bag and put it on the table and say, I would just like an appraisal first off.
Oh, not at all. I do not charge to do appraisals. Consider it a courtesy.
Don't worry, there will be
A fond
business.
interest in gems and jewellery of all kinds. All right, and with
Thank
that,
you.
he starts to pick up each one, and he flips down his his eyeglass, and starts to look at them. And he continues to talk as he does so. And he says, so this was firstly. What else can I do for you?
My friend requires some ruby dust,
Oh, okay, that's not a problem.
and I require a breakable statue, with emblazoned with gems. You know, like, I don't know if you glue them on or whatever.
He kind of stops and flips his eyelid back up. And he says, rather specifically, I couldn't help but notice you said you wanted a breakable statue. Is that it?
Correct.
One that's fragile, that can be smashed easily.
Let me explain. This is for a woman who I'm after her heart, and she's an elf. If that means anything to you.
No, not really.
Well,
But I understand that the ladies like finer things.
they like the fragile, the delicate things.
I want to get her something that she can break really easy.
That's pretty much what I'm saying.
What?
Well, you know, elves, you don't know, they're fragile and weak in many ways, and I want the statue to be representative of this
Oh my
fact.
god.
But also beautiful, because she is beautiful.
So do you have any? So you're talking about a commission then? You want me to commission something?
Right, and the gems would have to have, like 1,500-ish
Really?
gold
Well,
pieces worth. Yes, because she's...
Well, right
she's
here you've got about 500's worth.
well, there you go. That would be wonderful.
I mean, I wouldn't give you 500 for them, but I can more than happily apply them towards your piece of craft. So,
That
the
would-
statue then, what would you like it to resemble?
When you have any ideas? Maybe it's something small,
Well,
thin. I don't know.
Does she like birds? Is she fond of birds?
She likes... Well, she likes pseudo dragons, but we don't have to get that specific.
Well,
a cat would do.
Oh my god, Radavan
Wow.
sucks at this.
So you'd like a breakable cat? Do you have any idea of the base elements that would you like me to build this from? Clay,
Arlo
perhaps?
with him.
Clay, perhaps, or
Yeah, or porcelain. No, clay. Clay will be better.
clay, hardened clay, so that while it is breakable, it would at least require somebody to put some effort behind it to smash it.
Exactly. I don't want it just breaking
Fine,
willy-nilly.
fine. So, a hardened clay cat, bathed in gems. Any particular color you're thinking of, like?
Just a whole assortment, as long as it equals about that much in gold.
So you have no real
Value.
care for the pattern or design. You want it
No,
to look
I
at
trust your
somewhat
expertise.
realistic in color, or are you thinking more something that is a little bit more fanciful?
How about something like that resembles gold and platinum?
Like gold and platinum.
I have no idea, sir. You don't understand. This is the. I am out of my element. I trust your expertise. Just build it according to what you
But you
think
did
a
say
lady
you'd
would
like it to be bathed in small gems.
Right. Correct.
Fine.
And
Well,
you understand this is
as
not
this
my
is
forte.
such a specific commission, you do understand you'll have to pay for the thing in advance.
Of course. How
Not
much?
the sort of thing I'll be able to sell to anybody else. Not
Of
around
course.
these parts, anyway. But
Absolutely. Just tell me how much, and I will. I
so
will
you
provide.
said you wanted it to be worth about 1,500 gold coins, and you have
In-
500 here, so that'll be 1,000. The crafter. Well, let's see if I'll utilize the gems that you have here, and about 1,100 gold on top of that. So do you happen to have 1,100 gold just lying around your person?
You're gonna see me take my bag and like kind of chunk it on the table, and I'm gonna very excruciatingly take out the gold coins and start stacking them.
Right.
And it's probably gonna take a while, but I am gonna
Okay.
take 1,100 out.
Alright. So once you have a large stack of 1,100 gold coins taking up half the counter, he says, interesting. He reaches under the counter and gets a large, kind of what looks like a large tray. And he scoops a ton of the gold coins into the tray. He turns his back, opens up one of the large chests, and you hear him go as he dumps the money in. And it takes him about 4 or 5 trips of doing that. And then finally he puts the tray back under and locks the chest behind him. He says, well, let's see. Give it about 2 days for the crafting, the gems you've got to set. I could probably have it for you in about 4 days' time. Would that be sufficient?
That'll be
3 at a
sufficient.
push. I'll try to do it in 3 if I don't get, sidetracked.
That'll be great. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate your business, and be sure if you have any friends that need any fine jewelry or beautiful gems, just let them know to come and see Old Thienan.
The person in question will probably come in here in a day or two, wishing for ruby dust. Just don't tell her about this commission, please.
So we're talking about an elvish lass.
You can't miss her.
I'm
You will
sure.
see what I mean when you see her.
We'll keep that between you and I.
Thank you, good sir.
Now, you mentioned you're interested in some ruby dust yourself.
She can come in here and get it. I'm gonna
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
After you tell me it's 4 days, I don't need to make this trip
You're in
for
no
her.
rush.
There's no rush.
Alrighty. Okay.
I'm gonna leave.
All right. Well, then let's give Kia some love and take her to the Deep Delve Inn.
Okay.
Right, hold on 1 second. You guys are all over the place tonight. You're really giving my maps a workout. Hang on a sec. Alrighty. Okay, Kia.
You're welcome.
Who made that? Did John make that? There's
Someone did
That was me.
Oh, do we have viewer art?
Yeah, it's in the chat.
That is so bad, it's good. So funny. Awesome.
Who made that?
I did.
Spook
Oh
did
my
it. Too funny. All right, Kia Liana. Okay,
Alright.
yeah. So you wander back into the Deep Delve Inn.
Sure. I have something to do here.
Okay.
I'm going to find an empty table,
Well, you've
grab a
got
drink,
2 to choose from. Okay.
right? And I'm going to look specifically lonely and wishing for company. It's just to see if anyone approaches me at all. I don't know if this is the type of crowd that would.
Well, being that this is almost exclusively full of dwarves and you're
Right?
an elf, you know, I'm gonna give that a 25% chance that somebody might bother to come and sit next to you out of curiosity, if nothing else. 25% or less, and somebody will make their way over to you within a short period of time. Other than that, you're on your own. Yeah, no. In fact, everybody seems to be giving you a wide berth. Yep.
Grr.
Most of them don't seem interested at all in getting involved in an elf sitting by herself.
I'm gonna sigh then and move over here.
Okay.
And I'm glancing to the person to my right. I'm just gonna go, huh, delving, am I right?
He kind of
Easy
looks at
stuff.
you and he says, "Not for the whale. No one's gone down, and sure as hell no one's come out.
Nope. Nobody?
Oh, not in a long while.
Who's the last person that delved and came out alive?
Well, with that, the huge big dwarf behind the bar looks at you and he says, came out alive? Well, about 3 years ago, there were about a dozen went down, and I do believe 2 of them came back, close to death, but they
Really?
did manage to emerge.
What did they emerge with?
I cannot tell you that.
Are they still here?
No.
What?
No,
Are
they
they dead? It's only been 3 years.
Nope, they took their wealth and left us.
I thought the wealth was for the city.
Well, it is. It is. To some degree.
What does that mean?
That means exactly what I said it does.
So
To
you
some
get a
degree,
cut
the
of it?
wealth belongs to... Well, it's all part of the contract, you see.
What's on this contract? Surely it couldn't be that bad.
No, it's a fair deal.
You delve, and if you come back alive with something, you get part of the cut. Is that it?
It's all itemized, it's all listed, but there are certain items that if found automatically must be handed over to the Lord of the Hall, and there are some things that you're allowed to keep, and generally things just purely of a monetary value. You keep 70% and 30% you hand over. Any items of magical nature, if they are of anything of a dwarven relic, they belong to the city. If there's something else, well, then you pay a tax and then they're yours. Then, of course, there's the insurance fees that,
Ah,
if you wish us to take care of anything if you don't return.
I see. Well, what's
Oh, and of course, the waiver.
the waiver?
Yes.
What's that for?
Holding the deep delving harmless when we... And he points to the huge big circle on the floor over there. He says, when we open the slab and let you down, if you
It's
don't
right
return, then everybody in my establishment and here in the city is held harmless.
Do you know what's down there? Is there a creature that kills everyone?
A creature.
What is it?
As you kind of sit there, the person sitting right next to you says, what isn't down there is more to the point. Hundreds of miles of deep, dark caves, infested with creatures and monsters and trolls and orcs and ogres and all kinds of foul beasties.
And why does it lead straight to this inn?
Because this big, beautiful inn was built on top of one of the known entrances.
See,
You see,
that's interesting.
dwarves are smart enough not to go venturing down there and trying to recover the stuff themselves, so... Great heroes of the realms come here with the last hope of making fame and fortune. The great worm slayer, Ragash Nonrock himself, went down there about 2 decades ago and returned with a mountain of wealth.
How did he carry it back up?
Well, we have provisions for such things. Oh, we are very well prepared for such delves, as it were.
So as anyone can sign this contract and attempt, but few come out.
Well, as the waiver says, the statistical odds are that you will not return. As I said, the great worm slayer himself, he who slew the great black elder beast, Gandrak, barely came out by himself alive. 5 of his companions all died deep down in the mountains.
And how strong was this worm slayer? Did he know magic?
The bartender goes, well, if rumor has it right, he single-handedly slew an elder black dragon.
Holy shit. That
And
sounds
his
impossible.
companions were great heroes too.
I've slain dragons, but not a great elder one. That
By
being said,
yourself? Well, maybe you should go delving then if you're of that mind.
I don't think so. I'd hardly be able to see in hundreds of miles of dark caves.
Oh, you probably won't get very far. The first several miles, as you may imagine, have been probably picked over. The deeper you get, the darker you get, the more wealth to be found. But of course, more nasty things are down there too.
Not dragons.
I wouldn't be surprised. There are many a connection to some of those underground caves. Who knows where some of those long, dark chasms may connect to? Rumours of ginormous underground lakes, rife with serpents, trolls as black as pitch, creatures, giant worms that bore through the rock as if it were dirt or earth.
I'm gonna let myself get sucked into that story pretty much during my time here.
Okay. All right. Radovan, when you're done, where are you going?
Probably back to the Delving Inn.
Okay, well then we'll stick there. Right. So about 2.5 to 3 hours after Marlowe first inquired, is when they're going down. So Marlowe, what were you going to do? Are you going to go and try to find Scalfmere Durstock and ask if he'll let you go down into the mountains? I mean, into the undercaves or underchambers, or what's the deal?
Okay, honestly, I'm gonna walk over there thinking that's what I'm gonna do. But when I get there, I'm gonna stop
Okay.
and I'm gonna grab the first dwarf that I see in the street.
Okay. All right.
And I'm gonna ask him if they have a library in town.
He looks at you and says, "We have a great library. A fantastic library. Full of tomes and tomes and volumes and volumes."
Can you point me in the direction?
He goes and points at the ground. He said that would be in the underhalls, but it's not open to the general public as you might expect. But you can gain access by talking to Lundrick Thordane, or I'm sure you could persuade Dunagald Cargill to possibly help you out. Or, of course, the Lord of the Hall, or the Marshal of the Mountain.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Oh, not at all. Have a splendid day.
I guess I'm gonna go try to find the Marshal of the Mountain. He's the only one that I've really seen at this point, so...
Okay. Alrighty. So, yep, he won't be too hard to find. I mean, asking a few people directions to where he is, and which actually you end up going back towards the barracks to find him. When you get there, you can see in this square, kind of right behind the main hall in the barracks, is probably about 200 dwarves, all in armor with their hammers and their axes and their shields, and they're all about to walk through this large stone gate at the back of the Great Hall. Okay, you can see Scalfmere Durstock is up at the front, opening the doors, and then you hear, "Quick, march!" and they all regimentally just file through the gate in rows of two.
I'm not gonna get in their way. I'm gonna just, I guess, kind of wait for them to do whatever it is they're doing.
Right, well, once all of the other dwarfs have marched through the back gate, he, begins to file in behind them, and he kind of just gives you a nod as he does so.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Is there any way that I could get access to your library?
I suppose we can see. Come along. And he kind of
Right, I'm gonna follow, and nobody has seemed to has said anything about it, but I'm clinging with that damn huge ass hammer with me.
Strangely enough, that actually probably makes you look more at home here than anything else. But basically, yeah, you file in, and they all go down a huge flight of stone stairs to the left. And you start going down a large circular spiraled staircase, which tends to go down, you guess, at least 30 or 40 feet. Once you're down there, you realize Cairnemoore is considerably larger than what you have seen. The above city, which is what you've seen so far, is literally just the surface. And down below the city are these massive, great big halls with rows and rows of ginormous columns and buildings that are built down there like separately. Almost like, you know, they had a massive open cave and people built physical buildings down there and then supported the roof to make sure that it didn't cave in or the ground above didn't collapse with the weight of the, you know, of the traveling of the city that they built above. As you kind of get down there, you can see blocks of these dwarves forming into kind of rank and file. You can see rows and rows and rows of like wooden, like figurines of like men, which you would probably assume are some kind of like military training dummies. You can see massive, great big weights that probably weigh hundreds and hundreds of pounds laying around in different places, all manner of training equipment. And he kind of points, he says, if you'll give me just a moment to get things going here, I'll take you over and let you meet the librarian.
Of course.
All right.
I'll wait here. Take your time.
So he basically starts barking orders and gets all the dwarves to begin practicing military drills. As you kind of sit and watch, you notice that they move almost perfectly. It's almost like, the only way I can really describe it is, it's like an army of 4.5 feet tall Romans, all working together in perfect unison and rank and file. They move as one, they work as one, they do different shield formations, everything from creating like turtles with their shields to defend from arrows to doing like this weird maneuver where every other dwarf rushes forward and then like stops, and then every dwarf behind him rushes forward and stops, and they almost seem to be moving forward almost like some kind of set of gnashing teeth and jaws, in fast, short rushing distances of maybe 10 to 15 feet at a time. While all this is going on, eventually he takes you over to this large building, and you enter into an antechamber where you can see dwarves in long grey robes with incredibly long, wistfully kind of like grown, meticulous beards that all have been braided into one single long braid that comes down. The younger ones, which are probably only 150 or so years old, it comes down to almost the navel. Some of them, the older ones that might be over 200, 250 years old, it's down below their knees. He wanders in and he says, this is a friend of Dwarven kind that requested that she may be allowed to peruse the library. One of the librarians kind of walks over and looks you up and down, and he says, by all means, anything on the ground floor. Don't climb any ladders though, and stay off the second and third floors. Nothing up there that pertains to you. But, nothing leaves. If you need parchment and quill, let us know.
Thank
if a
you.
book has a lock on it, and you need a key, let me know.
Books have locks?
And with that, he holds up what appears to be a huge iron ring about this big that probably has over 150 little keys dangling from it. He says, aye, knowledge is power. Having books with such ancient knowledge, things need to be protected. Some of these tomes and volumes have grudges that go back thousands of years. Is there a particular grudge you're interested in? Did somebody wrong your kin? You're trying to find which dwarven family owes you, repercussions or, some form of repentance? Do you feel that
no.
you're owed reparations by any of the clans?
No, I've never been done wrong by any dwarves that I know.
Oh, so perhaps you're interested in, dwarven tales or poetry? History, perhaps? Well, whatever it is, feel free to peruse the library. It's open 24/7. But, we
It's
must
class
ask that you keep
library.
things quiet. Nobody likes noise. The books don't like to be disturbed.
Your books can hear.
Oh, the
Locked
walls can
books.
hear. Here in Cairnemoore, the walls themselves could tell tales.
Overwhelmed, I'm kind of.
We have no means
start
of
wandering.
refreshment, I'm afraid. We're simple folk, so when you had enough, by all means, just let me know when you're leaving. We like to know who's hidden in amongst the mazes.
Oh God. Okay.
I mean, looking at it, you can see that. I mean, it is shelves and shelves and rows, and it's quite feasible to realize why someone could be loitering back there somewhere, and they may not find you or see you for hours. So, but okay, yeah. So Marlowe has now a wealth of books at her disposal. If Books A Million actually had 1 million books, this place probably has 10 million. But they're not going to advertise that because,
I guess I'll just wander around till I see something that looks interesting. I don't.
Okay, give me an idea of something that Marlowe might find interesting. What sort of thing is going to leap off the shelf at her?
Well, obviously, most stuff to do with dwarves isn't going to interest her unless it's about fighting.
Right, and a lot of it may be written in Dwarvish, and can you even read
Yeah.
Dwarvish?
No.
Right, so
She can barely read common.
so you're looking for a nice pop-up picture book then?
Right? Yeah. She's looking for a
The
coloring
pop-up
book.
guides to military warfare.
Especially, I wanna make
Castles
that
and
now.
Sieges, the pop-up edition.
Obviously, if there were anything that didn't look dwarven, that would probably interest her, but I doubt they would have anything like that.
Well, no, they do. I mean, they've gathered books and tomes and volumes from, a lot of places. This is, as you can tell, the dwarves take the gathering of information and knowledge, and more importantly, as you can tell by the rows and rows and rows of record keeping that they've done. I mean, there are almost half the library is full of handwritten books that are just accounts and records and stuff like that.
I guess the first thing she would look is to see if they had anything about her home.
Okay, so you want to look for anything based on Fujinami. Okay, awesome. So we'll let you start doing some of that. And how long does she want to kind of ponder over books and stuff like that? Just until you get tired and then go back and get a rest, or?
She probably won't even leave then.
Okay.
She hasn't been sleeping real great as of late anyway, so...
All right.
Bug in my room is flying around, driving me crazy.
Kill it. All right.
And being underground, she's probably not going to have a great
Okay.
idea of what time it is either, so...
Well, I mean, you'll be able to tell more from the way they behave and what they do than anything else. So let me see. Really, this is going to come
I didn't do my
down-
skill points earlier. Oh, well.
yeah, make sure you add those. Really, this is going to be more of just studying books and pondering over volumes until you find things of interest. So we're going to get you to make, because you're not really deciphering scripts or anything like that. So go
No,
ahead.
that would take her a really long time.
Right, no, go ahead and give me a d20 with your intelligence modifier attached to it.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Whoops. I don't know why I thought I had to look that up. I know what her intelligence is.
Alrighty, okay. Well, this isn't really a pass or fail type thing. This is how many rolls over how many days is it going to take you to hit a number, to where you may actually find some information that's pertinent. So, but that's fine. All right, so we leave Marlowe poring over books in the library. We will head temporarily back over to the Deep Delve Inn. And by now, Beecham has made his way back in here as well. Okay, so before Beecham gets back there, obviously Radovan, you've arrived back before.
Yeah, and I immediately see Kia immersed in a story time with this dwarf. And I'm just gonna be like,
Sir Radovan! Hail.
Kia? What's going on?
Just, learning a few interesting things about this inn.
Sounds fascinating. Speaking of which, the jeweler does have, I think he does have ruby dust for you.
Oh, great. Can I have it?
I had other business there, so I didn't get a chance to go for that conversion. And what I had...
I gave you all my gold and I asked you to get me some.
Remember, you didn't because I needed
got
help
you
with
all
it,
the
so
stuff.
you have it all.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, right. But you said you would get me some.
Right, well, we're going to be here
you-
for a few days, so my commission requires some time, so
Fine.
you're just going to...
Commission? Wait, commission?
Long story, don't worry about it. Can I talk to you for a second? Sorry, excuse me,
Excuse my
Sir
friend.
Dwarf Man.
Sir Dwarf Man. It's a Dwarfman. That's how that name came up. Mr. Dwarfman. Was
Dwarfman,
come
yeah.
from people calling him Dwarf Man.
So I'm gonna sit down at this far length of table.
Okay.
Kind of like, oh, you're over here.
Why not?
Just I'm gonna awkwardly get up and sit over here.
You guys are still drunk from the runesmith earlier.
Okay.
So, we as a group have been through a lot, right? You would agree?
Sure. Of course I agree. What about it?
Do you think we are too untrustworthy, just generally?
To each other? Or of people?
No, of other people.
I mean, we were. We have to be, don't we?
Well, I freed those people from being petrified because I wanted information from them, not because I wanted to help them. I'll be brutally honest.
Oh.
It was a selfish reason to free them from their petrification, because I figured maybe one of them would be in a Valkyrie, maybe one of them would be a Highlander, and we can get information about their different cultures and their way of lives without, resorting to violence, which unfortunately it did. But
My bad. My
no,
bad.
that's not. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just letting you know that I did not free them out of the goodness of my heart. And that is not something I'm willing to accept about myself often. Does that make sense?
Well, I do selfish things all the time. I'm trying to improve.
Yeah, you lost your familiar because of it.
Exactly. I have a strict set of rules now that honestly I don't even know if I need anymore. That kind of clamps down at Cal. But
Well-
it helps me.
Well, okay, so damn bug in my fucking room. It's like a fucking little mosquito. Alright. So I think honestly there are times I'm too hard on Marlowe. And I don't want to be. And it doesn't help us. I mean, we are inherently different people with inherently different upbringing and values. And what I said to her was true. I legitimately forgot that she was not a part of that fucking Tri-Crown Mountain quest with those cult leaders who betrayed us and tricked us.
Right?
And there's always a part of me that wants to be just a better person. Just, especially after that frozen time with that lady in white, who, quite honestly, between you and me, is the only person I've ever really been afraid of.
You are a good person.
But I have done things not for the right reason, just for what I wanted to get out of it. Does that make sense? Like the petrification.
I'm not sure we're ever gonna perfect it. You're gonna screw up.
Well, see, here's what I do know. Between your spell casting and Marlowe's punching, and whatever I bring to the table, and even Beecham, who's been quite valuable sometimes, there's not a lot we can't deal with, I mean, sure, there's probably going to be something that happens that we can't deal with, but I'm trying to be optimistic here.
Okay.
Maybe we should be a little bit more trusting in the future. We should try to at least try to be more open-minded about...
What about the past? What about everything we've experienced and learning and growing and everything you just said?
Well, we still draw from it, obviously. We don't forget it. But I'd rather free people from being statues because it's the right thing to do, not for whatever we want done.
Okay, but
when we were kidnapped by the cultists and given that mark and tricked, going from point A to point B to point C, getting these items that they were ultimately used to fuck us over with, we were too naive, right? I mean, we were naive.
absolutely.
And we learned from that people can't be trusted. But we learned from that by a lot of people all screwing us over at the same time, as a plan. What's happened to Marlowe here has been this woman in Rockhelm and now this one dwarf. It's not a group of people. So maybe we should try to find some middle ground. I don't know.
Well, I agree we need to find a middle ground. The way you guys are talking to each other, I feel like we're not going to last a week longer together.
Which I don't want.
I don't
want us
either.
to
I love Marlowe.
not... Well,
And if that means you want to be a little bit more open, then I can do that too.
okay. Oh, I think we need to at least try. And I think we need to let Marlowe especially know that we are trying. And maybe that'll help her open up to us,
That's fine, but if I have legitimate concerns, I'm not going to silence them just to be more open.
I agree. I think with that dwarf especially, we did the right thing. I mean, we obviously did because of what ended up happening.
I know that.
Well, you notice Beecham kind of come in and he looks across and sees you, raises a hand and then goes up to the bar and
Hey, Beecham.
gets some drinks before he comes wandering over to you.
Okay. Well, you better tell Marlo that before she just leaves us completely.
Did you get us rooms?
Not
yet. No.
Oh, do you want me to take care of that?
Yes.
4 rooms?
Yes, I do.
yet. Sorry, Beecham, I only just got here myself. We were discussing something.
Oh, no problem. I'll just go and take care of that, shall I? And he heads up back to the bar.
You've been here this entire time and you didn't get a room?
I've been
Yeah.
a bit busy doing a little investigative work.
Right,
Just
on the
learning
history.
about delving.
Investigating, poring over libraries. It's starting to sound like a game of Call of Cthulhu in D&D.
I'm gonna point. I'm gonna motion my head towards this area. Be like, look over there.
I'm going to do so. Kind
See
of craning
that?
my neck.
You see that bit of round stone in the ground?
Yeah?
That's where it's an entrance to the delving, the caves apparently hundreds of miles of dark caverns.
Well, we're dealing with dwarves. That doesn't honestly surprise me.
Have you ever heard of the worm eater gore?
Hey, if you remember,
Was
you
that it?
remember. If you don't, you don't.
Okay, I'm gonna say that. You ever heard of the worm eater?
The worm eater.
The worm slayer?
The eater of worms. There's a
The
4-year-old
worm
kid.
slayer?
Holds him up and goes, dirt and all.
The
Yeah, I'm
what
gonna-
eater, Kia?
No, it's the worm something, I don't remember. Anyway, apparently he single-handedly killed an elder black dragon.
Oh, a dragon underground?
I don't know, there's this list of rules going down there, and if you come back, you get a certain amount of the cut. It's very fascinating stuff.
But probably not what we want to do.
Probably not.
Marlo would, of course.
It would make you very famous and very wealthy, and very well liked in this region.
Yeah, but would it give us any political clout with
Who
what
knows?
we want done?
That I don't know. That'd be a gamble. I tried to ask if the last people that came out of there alive were still around, but they aren't. So,
Beecham comes and hurls a couple of keys on the table in front of you.
Thank you, Beecham.
And this one's for Miss Lady Marlowe whenever she graces us with her presence. And he puts that on the table in front of you guys as well.
thank you.
He says, well,
Take that.
I don't know about you. But it's been a very long day. I think I'm going to turn in.
Oh, dang it. That made me so sleepy. Alright, Beecham. Take it easy.
I dropped off the chainmail and he's going to have it repaired. He says it'll be available tomorrow afternoon.
Well, we're going to be here for about 4 days, so...
Oh, really? Well,
Yes, that particular commission I have to do.
Excellent. That sounds interesting.
Uh,
Well, I'm sure I can find plenty to do in this city to keep me busy for a few more days.
yes, let's pace ourselves and...
Just like, I can do it getting shit-faced for 4 days in a row.
I can handle as much drink as my liver can handle. Give my liver a damn good kicking while I'm here. Okay. Alrighty. So with that being said, in the interest of not basically spending 4 more actual days doing nothing of any real value. So Marlowe, you're pretty much going to be poring over libraries, sleeping a couple of hours when you need to, and just reading.
Yeah.
Okay. At some point tomorrow, you guys may realize that you haven't got a clue where Marlowe is, and you haven't seen her for over a day.
Yeah. Probably start looking for her.
Probably would start looking for her.
Okay. Right.
Honestly, that was what our mission tomorrow would probably be.
Okay. So let's talk tomorrow then. So when you get up tomorrow, Radovan, do you want to basically make sure you know where Marlowe is?
Find out. Yeah.
Kia, do you have anything specific you want to do?
It's a similar plan.
Okay. So we will assume then that won't be difficult to find. I mean, no doubt at some point you'll end up asking around and find out that Scalfmere will let you know that she is down below in the city library.
I
And
would
as
not
far as he
believe
knows,
that.
She has been there since
I was about
yesterday
to say, they're
evening.
like, you're full of shit.
Rather than, do you think
honestly-
she's destroying the books right now? I have some concerns.
She's got crayons and she's colouring in all
this
the
book.
1,000-year-old art. All the
Maybe she got
1,000-year-old
mad at you.
sketch drawing, and she's colouring them in, and she's not even staying inside the lines.
Yeah, honestly, I would turn to Scalfmere and be like, are you sure you are talking about the same person that's been with us?
I am. Yesterday evening, she followed us down into the underhalls as we were about to begin our late evening training, and she expressed an interest to talk to the librarian. And he allowed her access to many of the tomes, and she was there this morning.
We need to get down there, Redovan. Something's not right.
Yeah, okay. May we go retrieve her, please?
I don't see why not.
Just prepare yourself for anything.
Yeah, so we're gonna go to
Okay.
get Marlowe.
All right. Well, one of the things that you do notice is the streets seem to be very, very vibrantly alive with activity today. There's a lot of people are standing outside their buildings with crates and stuff like that, as if they're kind of, possibly maybe they're all getting together for some kind of market or something like that they're going to do, or some kind of trading. Who knows? But okay. So you guys venture down to locate Marlowe, and eventually you will find her in the underhalls at the Great Library.
So I'm gonna nudge Kia, and I'm just gonna say, "You retriever, you're in better terms with her than me. Don't want to cause a scene, right? I'm gonna wait outside the building."
She's punching. Ugh, fine. I'll begin my wandering
Okay.
to try to find her.
All right. So you start
Going down the
all
rows.
the different, rows and rows, and eventually you
Marlowe.
find Marlowe sitting at a stone table with piles of books all around her, kind of like just flicking through pages and poring over these big, thick, ancient, dusty books.
Marla,
I'm gonna disturb the books.
what are you talking about?
They can hear you.
Books can't hear you. Let's go. What are you doing down
These
here?
they can hear you. And some of them have these great big locks on them, and you have to have keys to read the book.
It's dusty and gross out over here. Let's not.
I know, but if I to get stronger, I have to read these books.
What are these? I'm gonna walk over and look at what Marlowe's even looking at.
Okay. It's a very random selection of books. Most of them seem to be anything basically talking about any form of geography. There's tomes detailing the mountains, various different Dwarven tales of history and expeditions. A lot of them are kind of half read, and then it's like, yeah, there's clearly nothing in here that's interesting me. Sling, and then
Gotcha.
on to the next book. But I mean, as I said, nothing really specific leaps out at you.
Okay.
It's just tons and tons and tons of stuff. Mostly, anything that was written in Dwarvish is kind of like stuck over to the right and not really messed with. Anything that seemed like it was actually written in a language that she could read, she's been kind of at least scouring through and skimming to see if there's anything interesting in there.
Okay.
Kia, what does superfluous mean?
I don't even know. I guess I don't really read that much.
If you've got skill points to spend, Marlowe, and you want to spend those in any of the knowledge skills, it would be pretty pertinent to do so, because, by all means, you definitely have the means at your disposal to do such things should you want to. I'm not saying you have to.
Skill
You can
points.
choose to let it all pour in one ear and out the other if you want.
Believe it or not, the only knowledge skills that I'm supposed to have proficient, any sort of anything in, is Arcana and Religion.
Right, that's because you're a
Now you
monk.
can get more.
And that seems like the farthest away from
But
anything.
local history, local knowledge history, knowledge geography, all those things if you wanted to. With this library at your disposal, while they're not the sort of things that you typically learn, it would be the perfect opportunity to be able to do so. So if you want to, you could certainly justify doing that exact thing right here.
So my face is gonna visibly soften, and I'm gonna be like, "Are you doing this because of what Radovan said yesterday?"
It's not just Radovan. There was a a soldier in the barracks. He said that the way to become stronger was to train your mind.
Well, I suppose that is true.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna... What?
I don't think I can become stronger. I'm not smart enough for this.
That's... Maybe... I'm gonna look at all the books. There's a way to do this better, and I think I can help you with that. You can get more organized, and we could find books that'll actually help you. Books about strength and fighting. Things that interest you. Not... I'm gonna pick up this book on, like, Dwarven hills and geography. Like, yeah, you don't need to know this right now.
Right.
What about tactics and different ways to approach giants?
But I don't understand how reading helps. Like,
Well, sometimes in history books you'll read about other people who've tried to tackle different monsters and how they did it either incorrectly or correctly, and you can adjust the way you do it by learning about how others did it.
but they're just words. It's not somebody showing.
I'm sure there's a way we
I,
can
I,
make
I
this
read all of this and I don't remember it. I forget it.
Well, you gotta make a story out of it. You have to find out how to make it interesting yourself. I can't tell you exactly how to do that, but whenever I was reading through certain spell books and learning about magic, I imagined myself in the shoes of the great warriors of the past doing all the things they did, and it helped me, I guess, retain more information.
I thought that would help. Back with the monks,
Mm-hmm.
back at the temple, they said that was just daydreaming. I wasn't. They were right. I'm not smart enough.
Marlo, it's been one day you've been poring over these random books. You're not gonna gain that much knowledge in a day. We'll find a good one here. And I don't know if we could take it out. Maybe we could sneak it out. We'll do something with it. Alright? And maybe
They said we
maybe
couldn't
Radovan.
take the books.
Oh, shit.
They're really heavy too, and
Okay. Well, I bet
like some of
Radovan
them
has
are
one.
locked. And I mean, they said that the books could hear you. I don't know if the books can talk. What if the book? We try to leave with the book and it starts screaming,
That would be unfortunate.
and the book will tell on us. But
Do you want me to not tell Radovan what you're doing here, or do you want him to know? It's up to you.
I don't know. He's gonna have that "I told you so."
I don't think he will. I was talking to him yesterday, and he seemed to regret some of the things he said. I think he wants to be more like you.
Dumb.
No, Marlo, trusting and kind.
You guys, you see these books, and you'd probably be able to read them and do all these great things with what's in them. And I can't remember what people told me yesterday.
Well, it's the same process as learning how to use a weapon or your fists. I'm sure it took you years of training. You have to apply that same knowledge to reading books. You can't just give up.
I would have to read the same book over and over and over and over, and
You might, but after you do that 10 times, maybe the next book will only take you 5 times.
you know how long it takes me to read a book?
No. Do I want to know?
Me either, because I've never finished one.
Well, I predict that you will finish your first book within the next month. Nope, 2 weeks even. Watch. I'm gonna pick a really short one though. Let's get out of here. I think Radovan wants to talk to you.
A one-sheet pamphlet there.
But what if there's something here that'll help me for against the current?
Shady, thanks for hitting the sub button, my friend. Appreciate it.
Hey,
Ladies
thanks,
and
Sadie.
gentlemen, spam your pants
Or
off
something
and hit the
about
hype.
tigers.
I bet there is something in here. Well, we have 4 days, 3 more days here, so I'll help you. We'll find something.
What are we supposed to be doing now, then?
Well, we're gonna go find Radovan, and we're gonna sit down, and I'm gonna sit with you, and we're gonna make a list of 10 things you want to learn about, and then we're gonna go in there, and we're gonna find some books.
Okay.
Alright. So, I'm gonna remove all the books that are surrounding her so she can move.
I got
Okay.
red nose all of a sudden. That was
Oh.
weird.
All right. Okay, and then what are you gonna do?
Oh, Radovan's waiting outside the library.
Yeah, I
He
know.
didn't go far, so.
We're gonna go find Radovan.
All right. So Marlo, are you going with Kia?
Yeah.
Mum's the word. I'm not gonna say anything unless you do.
Alrighty. Okay, so once you're all back
Get that damn
outside,
hammer.
what do you want to do?
What's going on?
It's in Marlo.
I'm just gonna stare at Radovan. I got a hammer.
She did. She got one.
That's the library.
Yeah, what are you doing in the library?
I'm trying to read.
Oh, that's great. Anything I can help you with?
I don't know where to start.
Here, let's go back to the inn.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let them go. Take me back to the inn.
All right. Okie dokie. You head back to the Delve Inn. And let me just need to do one thing real quick. Give me just a second. And I know I just closed that chat, but I did that for a reason. Give me just a sec.
Uh-oh.
Gonna move an icon or two. Oh, that's not who I wanted. Damn it. Gotta move an icon and I grabbed the wrong one. Hang on.
I'm gonna take out a piece of paper and right at the top, Marlo's reading list, and I'm gonna put number 1, tigers.
Books on tigers.
Tigers. Yeah.
Alrighty, and I just need to do one more thing real quick. And then I'll be good to go.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la indeed. And there it is. So I had to get things off of another map, and I don't want to reveal it to chat just yet, so
Sneaky, sneaky.
had to... Alright, okay, good deal. Sorry about that. So, back to the Deep Delve Inn then. Okay. Well, when you get back in there, you can see Beecham is sitting up at the bar, and he is
Getting
just
wasted.
enjoying himself some delicious breakfast, and sipping a glass of what probably isn't milk or orange juice. Okay. What do you want to do in there?
Oh, we can't see the map.
Oh, did I not put you on it? I do apologize. Oh, no, I didn't. It bounced back. There you go.
So I'm gonna sit down and kind of like stare at both Kia and Marlo, expecting an answer.
Relevan, was there something you wanted to tell Marlo?
Is Marlo not sitting at our table? There she is.
No, she is.
I asked a question, but it's great. You wanted to read. What
I
were
didn't
you?
want to.
What were you doing in there, though? I mean, you looking for something particular?
I don't know. I need to get stronger. I don't see how books will help me with that.
That's why
But-
we have tigers on this list.
Tigers. Well, I mean,
Tigers. Tigers with blue eyes.
And lions and
Tigers
bears,
with
oh my.
blue.
oh, like
Why is
that.
that so specific, Marlo? Do we? Wait,
The tiger that
the one
Almost-
tiger.
killed us.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
Oh,
that's
there-
gone now. We won't have to deal with that again, right?
I don't know, but Marlo, share what's on your mind, please. Please, for the love of Cuthbert, let us in.
I just have kind of been thinking about them a lot.
About the blue-eyed tiger.
Yeah. Can you have thoughts about something without meaning to, Radovan?
This is when you glance at me. Yes.
What do you mean? Like a vision? Like your mind bubbling up stuff that you were not thinking about?
Yeah?
I mean, when I joined the Topaz Order, and before we shared and indulged in that disgusting piece of fucking cake, if you don't remember, I had a vision. Yes, it was a
And
religious.
you didn't have a, like, it wasn't
Well, it was
almost like somebody else told you, but they weren't telling you. It was like a picture.
That's exactly what it was. It was a very vivid, scary message from some divine other source that I would equate to my god, telling me to join the Topaz Order. It was of the war with the Drakkar Yanki.
So
Yeah,
Cuthbert does that?
he
Shows
I
you
believe so.
pictures?
Very vivid pictures of animals devouring each other and war bands clashing and death, and it's what made me decide to be a part of the Forlorn Hope in the war. That was that image. When you were pissed off at me for seemingly accepting dying, I had a vision and believed it was what I needed to do. So it is what I did.
But you work for St. Cuthbert. I don't have anything to do with. Why would he show me pictures?
What picture? You were having pictures of the tiger?
Yeah. For a while now.
Just when you're walking around, or what?
At night, before I try to sleep.
Is it the same picture?
Yeah. It wasn't. I wasn't sure that it was really there at first, but it's really vivid, like you say. Like I can hear it sometimes and smell it.
And it's just stinking? What's it doing to you? Sorry.
It's roaring.
Well, I seem to recall Kia and myself getting in the middle of that blast, so a roaring blast, that sonic and freezing and damage and lightning and
But this happens when I try to sleep. Why would your god send me pictures of tigers? yelling at me.
I like that sentence.
I don't honestly know, Marlo. That's
And it's not just a picture. It's like it's really there. Like even when I opened my eyes, it was like it was just there, and I missed it.
and this has happened since our encounter with on that frozen lake with Beecham and us being unable to touch each other.
Not immediately. But I honestly can't remember when it started. It's been going on for so long. And it just keeps getting stronger.
Well, that is honestly not something we have to deal with. I mean, not just for your sake, but for if it's becoming more and more pronounced, we're leading to something. Then, I mean, that's the only explanation I could come to. I mean, look, that lady, whatever that lady was, I mean, whether she was the lady in white that we've encountered before, or whether she's something else entirely, honestly, it's those things in this world that scare me the most. The lady in white and whatever that was, talking about some ancient law having been broken. I mean, I've been thinking about that this entire time since it happened. I mean, obviously, other things have come up, but if you're having visions, I can see why you'd be in the library. I mean, maybe they have some information about something like that. That's a good thing to want to pursue.
But if Cuthbert's the one that sends the pictures, can we ask him? He could just tell you, right?
I don't think Cuthbert would send that. I don't think it's him doing that.
Other
Other
people can do it too?
Yeah.
Is it like when you charm us, Kia?
No. You've been charmed by me before. Did you see tigers?
No.
Alright, it's not like that. But I
It's-
feel like powerful wizards or warlocks or gods, any people like that could do it to you. Maybe.
Perhaps it has to do with your connection to your homelands. I mean, Cuthbert sent me such a vision because of my faith. Maybe there's something connected to your homeland that is why you see it and we don't. Because if it is such a thing, why hasn't Kia, Beecham, or myself seen these visions?
But I haven't been back home in almost 2 to 3 years. I don't remember ever seeing one back home.
I don't know.
I'm gonna strum my fingers along the table and look at that parchment that says tigers on it that Kia wrote.
There's an addition, tigers with blue eyes now.
You've added the extra descriptiveness.
I did.
I mean,
Alright.
we were...
Okay, so as you kind of talked, something catches your eye. Through the door, which people have been coming in and out, which hasn't really, or dwarves have been coming in and out, which hasn't really bothered you, but for the first time in a while, there are different humans just walked in. At the front is a woman who has kind of like got short blonde hair. She has a sword hanging by her on her side. She has kind of like knee-high brown leather boots and kind of like a bluish gray off-the-shoulder shirt. Like, it has sleeves, but the strip that would be right here where the shoulder would be is missing. Like more of a fashion statement than anything else. She seems to have a small, kind of like small bag hanging from her left hip. Behind her are two somewhat ornately armored gentlemen. They seem to be wearing some kind of plate mail, but it's a lot lighter and less bulky than the plate mail that Radovan is familiar with. and it is kind of like gold filigree. It's got gold filigree across the shoulders and down the arms, and where every kind of curve and cut of the armor is gold filigree that kind of tailors it. Their helms kind of like come to a little bit of a point, and they have like a gold tassel that hangs off the back of it down their back of their neck.
Fancy.
Honestly, looking at it, Radovan's kind of like, yeah, that looks great and all, but what's going to happen when it gets hit with a warhammer? That's what you kind of feel like. It looks like the armor is really more for show than effect. As she walks in, the innkeeper looks over and he says, "Well, bless me, is it that time already, Captain Vance?" And she turns around and she smiles and she says, "The usual then." And she just politely nods. Beecham kind of like, he's spun around on the seat and is kind of looking, especially, seemed to like really pick up when he heard the word captain. This dwarf kind of gets up and moves to make a little bit more room, but he seems to do so out of courtesy, not because he seems to be offended and doesn't want to sit with humans. She immediately plops down on the stool right next to Beecham, and her two armored gentlemen kind of move in behind her. And with that, he pours 3 glasses of ale and slides it across to him, and she slings a couple of coins on the table, and they both down them pretty quick, or all 3 of them down them pretty quickly. And he says, "So, what have you brought us today then?" And she looks and she says, "Oh, quite a bit of the usual, but I have some things that you have probably not seen before." He says, "Oh, wonderful, wonderful. When do we get to see the goods?" And she says, "They'll be offloaded from my ship probably within the next hour or 2.
Ship?
Yeah, Beecham's got a very puzzled look on his face as well, and he kind of like gets down and comes wonder. Sin Shady, appreciate the donation. We'll read a message that you got with that in just a second, my friend. So Beecham kind of comes over and he says, "Did she say ship?"
Now, I have a question. We have all dealt with Tadros before, and we know Tadros quite well. We also have done the Tarkin Quest campaign where we went on Tadros' ship.
Right.
Would any point in time in Iridian, would we have been clued into Tadros actually owning a flying ship as these characters? I mean, it's hard because I know it's kind of, I don't want to metagame.
Tadros' ship didn't fly. Let's just say you might have heard rumors, but Tadros' ship just raised itself up out of the water on large runners and was magically really propelled. Fast. It just traveled really fast. More like a magical version of the Nautilus than... It wasn't a flying ship or anything like that.
So the ship will puzzle me just as much as anyone else.
Yeah. Like Stardust.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, after downing that, she says, "Well, we can't stop. We have things to oversee." She says, "Good day. I will bring you our agreed stuff, and I'll let you see the extra things that I have very soon." And with that, she starts to make towards the door.
"Marlo, we'll get back to this. I'm interested. We'll help you find a solution to this white tiger thing." And I'm immediately going to spring to my feet and clamor after them.
Okay.
I'm gonna follow them.
All right. So you leave the tavern, the Deep Delve Inn. You just want to kind of follow them down the street?
Absolutely. And I'm looking all around.
Okay.
I'm very curious.
Okay, well, they wander back down to the main street. They stop several times, and they're talking to all the people that have got crates out. Like all of the, and you suddenly realize it's like all the different stores. The Bowyer Fletchers, the Apothecary, the Jewelsmith, the Armorsmith, the General Stores, the Bowyer Fletcher, the Runesmith, the Weaponsmith. All of them have all got crates outside with different things like that they're putting out there. And they continue to kind of wander down the street. And it's not long before you notice, when your eyes finally look upwards as you see this shadow descending down, up at the northern part of the city, there are like rope ladders hanging down, and there's what appears to be almost like building scaffolds are being lowered on 4 sets of rope. And there is a ship up there that has a ginormous, what can only be described as some form of balloon, suspending it in the air.
Ooh. We gotta get on that. We gotta get on that ship.
Is that like a zeppelin?
If you could imagine a zeppelin that had a galleon hanging beneath it, that's pretty much what it is. It's like an actual ship, but of course it clearly looks like the hull and stuff is made more aerodynamically to cut through air than it is water, although it's probably very feasible that the thing would float as well.
Kia, I'm not just gonna try to hop on a floating thing.
But I wonder where they're going next.
What about where they're from?
Or who they are, but we gotta get on that thing. It's so cool. I've never seen anything like it.
Is Captain Vance like still on the ground, or did she ascend one of those rope ladders?
No, she hasn't gone up. She's literally stopping at each store, and you can see her going out, shaking the hands of all the storekeepers and exchanging small talk, and then she moves on to the next one, and finally, after about 30 or 40 minutes, she's made her way all the way down.
Okay.
And you see her kind of like put her foot in like a rope that almost looks like a hangman's noose. And then just kind of gives it a tug, and then you notice it slowly get pulled up. And then the 2 guys with the armor, they begin to ascend one of the rope ladders.
How does it stay up there?
Which ironically is also
Fire.
rather puzzling to Radovan, because there's no damn way he could climb a rope ladder like this in full plate. So once again reaffirming that this stuff is considerably lighter than what Radovan is used to.
Well, also, I mean, Radovan's plate armor is masterwork, right? He got it at
but
a
it's
deal.
also
So still,
medieval
it's still
style heavy plate mail. I mean, it's designed to take a beating. This stuff is more... It's more angular than anything else. It really looks like it's probably less designed to take heavy blows and more designed to deflect missile fire. You know, you could see how an arrow could, because everything has kind of comes to a little bit of a point, so you can see an arrow would hit it and ricochet off. But it, as I said, it may not do so well if it was hammered by a heavy pick or a mace or a warhammer.
Fire can make things fly? Is that how you levitate?
What? No. I was just kidding, but if I look at the balloon, do I see fire underneath of it?
No.
Or is it magic?
Maybe.
I don't know, Marlo. I want to find out.
Well, as you're kind of standing there all in the street gawking up at it, a familiar voice kind of says, "It's a beauty, isn't it?" And you realize that Scalfmere Doorstock is standing there with a couple of his dwarves.
What is it?
That there is the Osprey.
The offspring?
The Osprey. Captain
Osprey.
Corinthia Vance. It's her, skyship.
Who is
Boat in
she?
the sky?
Who is she?
Yeah, who?
Oh, Captain Corinthia, she's the captain of the Osprey. And they
But
come
where do
from very, very, very far away. They come but once every 2 years to trade here with Caravarak.
Wow.
And I see. This is one of those aforementioned.
From Erosia.
This is one of those aforementioned trade deals that you guys have set up very delicately.
Aye.
What do they trade you?
Oh, you know, this and that. We provide them things that we make, being dwarves, of, some skilled craft. And, they provide things that, we don't have much of.
And Is there a way we can get an introduction to them?
Well, I suppose when Captain Vance comes down from up loft, we can introduce you.
I mean,
Being the sort of man that would argue for hours about the merits of travelling further afield, I'm sure you and Captain Vance have lots in common.
I'm just surprised that. I mean, I'm not surprised. I understand why they would come here. It makes sense. I'm seeing more now about the way Carparak is operated and runs and is so self-sufficient. I've just never seen something like that further south, and I don't understand why they wouldn't venture south to Arconis. We have a lot to offer as well.
You jealous?
Between you and me, they seem to have some kind of aversion to going down to ground level. From what I understand, where Captain Vance comes from, they also dwell in the cities, up in the mountains. And I suppose they have come up with a marvellous mode of transport. Unfortunately, as much as the runesmiths and the various different trades guilds have tried, we have yet to be let in on the secret on how the darn thing stays afloat. Or airborne would be more appropriate, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I've only seen one other thing besides those with wings fly, and I pretty much understand how she does it. I'm going to side glance to Kia.
Says, well, the runesmiths speculate that it's some kind of magic woven into the construction itself. The librarians, well, they say from their great knowledge and learning that it's an ancient and lost craft that once was known to many of the world, but now has long since been forgotten.
And such things they would not they would not ever impart, I imagine, if they knew.
Well,
why would they? This gives them a huge
from
advantage.
what I do understand from talking to one of the guards, the cities that they live in, there is no means to get from the ground to the city. They do not.
What? They live in this.
They live in the cities above the clouds, at the peaks of the mountains.
Okay.
And this seems to be the mode of transport, to travel from mountain peak to mountain peak, above the clouds. Rather curious, but they tend to be very tight-lipped if you try to, discuss such things with them. They seem very, very secretive about their homeland. Which is probably one of the reasons why they get along with us and we get along with them. They don't pry, we don't pry. Everybody's happy.
And if we were to introduce ourselves, we would probably immediately be seen as priors.
Well, a simple introduction is one thing, just be careful what you ask. As I said to you before, treat everybody with respect.
Of course.
You can ask the question, but if they don't seem to want to answer, then I wouldn't push the matter. Especially as we have such a delicate trade relationship. If you was to cause unrest with Captain Vance,
say no more. Say no more. We would not want to
Dwarven
say.
kind would take that as a deep offence. There's one thing that despite the wonders that they bring, and despite the wonders that we offer, Dwarven kind and these strange folk from far across the oceans and seas, from the land of, where did they say they come from? Oh, Sidoria! That's right, Sidoria.
Sidoria?
But the one thing we all seem to be seriously lacking: fresh fruit, vegetables, those kind of things, very hard to grow in the mountains. So we grow, as you've probably seen by the stock and fare that's available at the inn, it's mostly proteins and meat, a lot of mushrooms. They grow real well in the caves. But we have a limited supply of fresh fruit, vegetables, grains, that sort of thing.
Well, such is grown and harvested in abundance to the south.
And
Which is
with
one of
that,
the-
That's the perfect spot to leave it.
You can say more.
Too bad.
Hold that
I know.
thought, because it's very
Hold that
relevant.
exact thought.
Hold that thought. Alrighty, and that is where we will leave it tonight. I just realized we played all the way through without taking a single friggin' break.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I apologize if any of you are busting to have a pee.
Okay.
No, just sleepy.
But there we go. Alrighty. So that's where we will leave things for tonight. If you have any questions, now is the perfect time to hurl them at us.
Nobody rolled a 20.
Hi there, I'm Gorbad. Welcome to the Orc's Nest. I'm the Dungeon Master here on How We Roll, and if you'd like to follow me personally, you can do so on Twitter @Gorbad. Check out thedmblog.com for all things Dungeon Master and Dungeons and Dragons related. And of course, you can follow me on twitch.tv/Gorbad. Also, guys, don't forget to keep up with all things How We Roll. Follow us on Twitter @HowWeRoll. Check out the website www.howweroll.com, and make sure you follow us on YouTube as well. Cheers, guys.
Shagget here. On How We Roll, I play Radovan Rainier, War Priest of St. Cuthbert, who just so happened to author a new academic book that's coming soon. It's titled Libido Rectification for the Required Propagation of Arconis' Depleted Men-at-Arms, or more affectionately titled Mandate Number 2 and You. You can follow me on Twitter at @neb_convos for upcoming book excerpts, just to get the hype going, push up the sales. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, I'm the Dragon Spooker, and I play Marlo Rayfell, monk and resident badass for How We Roll. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so using @DragonSpooker, or follow my Twitch channel, which I sometimes stream on, twitch.tv/TheDragonSpooker.
Hi, thanks for watching another episode of How We Roll. I am Jane Ivana, and this is my lovely cat, Norman, who really doesn't want to be here right now. You can follow me on Twitter, @Jane on Twitch with a 0. Shh, don't tell him, he doesn't like birds. No. I stream occasionally on twitch.tv/Jane Ivana, so you can find me there. And I guess that's all we got. You got something to say? Nope. Peace, suckers. Bye.